Charleston Hughes joining us. Now, last time we were on Charleston, we found out that you were almost a player agent, which it's funny. You have an eye for talent. You obviously know what people are worth. And then I think it was within a day or two, there was social media articles written about you from the interview that we did. And then somebody put up this post. Curtis, you want to throw this up? Somebody thinks that you deserve to be on the TSN panel this season. That's going to make a guy feel good, doesn't it?
It does make a guy feel good, man. But I think I was kind of shocked about that too. Just fans being that supportive of me, and I know I'm a big personality guy, and I got a huge following in the league. And the thing is if it comes to players, I'm probably the most connected player in the league to knowing, certain players, knowing their capabilities, knowing how good they are, just having good relationships. I've always been like a team, player type guy. So every player that has played with me, they know what they're going to get from me on the field. And I made it, my personal thing to like try to connect with every player on the team.
Here's the thing. And I can't say I don't know you all that well, but if we were in negotiations for you to be on the TSN panel, you strike me as the type of guy that's going to want a $3,000 to $5,000 suit and have 10 of them at his disposal at any times, maybe even a personal tailor. Because the look, I think, would be something that would also define the Charleston Hughes man on TV. Am I correct?
Yeah, man. It has to be in the contract where I have to be the best dressed guy on the panel at all times.
Now, Milt Stegall, and I'm not saying you're replacing Milt, but let's say Milt's around. I would say Milt is probably one of the better dressed guys, right? Not that Paul LaPolice isn't. I would say Milt is probably the bar of what looks good on the TSN panel. Do you have more game than Milt? You're younger.
I'm definitely younger, and I definitely got more swag than Milt.
Okay. That's all. It's a new generation. There's a lot going on. Charleston's in Texas at the moment, but here's the thing. He's good with people. He is in America, but his pension is in Canadian funds here in Canada. We may need to get you to negotiate this tariff war between countries and bring everybody together. So everybody comes out on this.
I know, man. I feel like they're putting tariffs on my pension.
Oh, so last week, the CFL asked on social media, what is your favorite CFL moment of all time? I said the 2013 Grey Cup, and my reasons were, and we don't have a lot of Grey Cups in Rider Nation, as you know. The 89, yes. 2007, 2013 for me, because we lost in 09. That still is haunting. We lost in 2010, which I don't even remember because 29 was such a big hangover. And then we were kind of trash after that. So 2013 was sweet. You played in the league. What's your favorite CFL moment?
I got two, man. I got one that I was a part of, which was when, it was a Grey Cup that I didn't even play in because I was hurt, man. So the thing is seeing it from the sidelines, I was in tears, and you feel like you should have been a part of the game and felt like, I would have been the X factor in that game. But it was the game when I was with the Calgary Stampeders, and we were playing against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And we were in BC's place, and Speedy Banks ran back that kick return for a touchdown to win the game. And they got called for a clipping call to reverse that touchdown. And then we ended up winning the game because of that penalty. I like dramatic endings like that, man. And I like, wins like that, especially because it's like it's meant to happen and it was meant to be that way. So all you can do is just accept it. And my second is with the Riders and the 13th man Grey Cup. Oh. I know it's a sore spot, but like I said, I like dramatic endings, man, because it's entertaining. It's good for sports. So that was one of those games where it was like, that was something that was unbelievable, and you can't believe it, and you can't make this stuff up, man. I mean, look at
Now,
it.
I know. Now, because the game was in Calgary, were you still in town and were at McMahon watching it live, or were you already back in the States?
I was watching it live at the game. And like I said, when something like this happened and they line up for a field goal and you think that, oh, the game's over, that's the end of it. And then boom, a flag goes up and nobody sees the flag and everybody's celebrating. And you're celebrating for what? No reason at all.
But Charleston, as someone who was at that game, how eerily silent it was afterwards for that many people to be filing out of the stadium and just not a sound. Everyone was in disbelief. Like, I can still remember it vividly. It was one of the weirdest feelings I've ever been a part of.
It definitely was, man. It gave you like mixed emotions because one side of the crowd is happy and the other side isn't. Then you got the reverse side of that where the other side can't even believe that, you would make a mistake like that on the field. I mean, the coaches, the players, like, you try not to blame people and you try not to, go up against your teammates like that, but you just kind of remain solid and do your best to be positive about the situation and make it a learning experience. So the thing is, man, it's a lot of mixed emotions when that happened. And like I said, man, it's good for football, it's good for sports, and it's good for future as a learning, process too. That make sure you always count. Make sure you designate one guy to count the players on the field.
So we weren't in the locker room after the game, and obviously there's a range of emotions. Some guys could be heated. Were you a guy that would play peacemaker among teammates? Like, are you the guy that doesn't say, or because obviously some guys are probably off in the corner, shaken to the core. You could see tears. There's guys that are going to be hotheads. Like, do you have to be policed? Were you the policeman in the locker room when things were getting heated between guys?
It's been tough, man. I've been the guy on both sides of that spectrum myself, man, where, I was super, super angry and super, super mad. I mean, but you learn over time, man, that you can't bring a football game like that down to one play. You got to bring a football game like that to multiple plays. So to be in that situation at the end, great job to give yourself an opportunity to win the game. But you got to go in the game dominating, knowing that you're confident about, we're going to win this game and it's not going to come down to a situation like that. So you got to kind of pick up the pieces and think about what more we could have done to make it so it wasn't a close game.
Yeah, because for about the first 3 quarters and the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, the Rider defense was outstanding. And then it seemed like that last 10 minutes, whatever changed, the Stamps were all of a sudden starting to move the ball. And then, or Stamps, the Alouettes were starting to move the ball. And it was like, uh-oh. Yeah, the Alouettes. It's like, oh, man. God, man, that's just so funny.
Never get lax, man. Never count it out.
Yeah. NFL free agency, the tampering window is on and they can officially sign it. The money, the numbers that are being thrown out, it's just crazy. Now, we know that you're a talent evaluator. Give me 1 or 2 guys that maybe never got a sniff ever in the NFL, but in your opinion, if they ever would have got their shot, could have been dominant or game changers in the NFL. Because you're seeing guys that you're like, really? Are you worth 3 years and $38 million with 20 of that guaranteed off a subpar? But it is the economy of the game. Who are some of those guys for you that in your mind would have been game changers given a shot?
Nick Lewis, he would have been a game changer in the NFL if he was given a shot, man. He was a good guy and a playmaker with playmaking ability and never dropped the ball. I would say S.J. Green was one of those guys. I would say Geno Lewis is one of those guys. I would say Joffrey Reynolds was one of those guys. I mean, there was multiple guys. I would say myself is one of those guys too, man. But there's lots of talent in the CFL. Both Canadian and American, that can play in the NFL if given the opportunity and politics weren't involved so much that they were going to the NFL and shine. There's at least one or two guys on every single team that would completely do it. Bo-Levi, if politics weren't involved at that time, I guarantee you he was better than who was Minnesota's quarterback at the time.
Yeah.
He just left Minnesota, whatever his name is. I can't remember.
Sam Darnold?
Nope, before Sam Darnold.
Kirk Cousins.
Bo-Levi is a way better quarterback than Kirk Cousins at the time. But the thing is he was approached with a situation where they wanted Bo-Levi to teach Kirk Cousins how to play the game, to see the field the way he saw the field. And the only reason I know that because I just know Bo. I mean, I've talked to Bo about situations like that where, like, you definitely could have played in the NFL and made an impact on teams. But to sit back and teach a guy how to see the field, come on now. I wouldn't do that.
I mean, and that's crazy. And here's the thing. And Cousins has made a career. Like, Cousins is a very smart businessman, too. He's got himself paid guaranteed money everywhere he's gone. And it didn't work out in Atlanta this past year. And we don't know, has Cousins signed anywhere? We don't know yet. But anyways,
I don't think so, no.
Maybe the average person doesn't realize how many things have to go right for you to make an NFL roster. You mentioned the word politics 3 times, and this has nothing to do with federal elections or tariffs or anything like that. Is it a matter of, well, the GM doesn't like the scout that recommended him? The guy has a thing because of the college he went to. Maybe he beat him in high school. Like, is it sometimes just the most petty things in the world that can hold a guy back from getting his chance?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a million reasons why, man, that, politics can play a big factor. I mean, there's politics in the CFL too. There's politics in all sports. But in the NFL, it's extremely used, man. Like, if you're a first-round draft pick, if you're a second-round draft pick, you'll get as many chances to mess up in the world, even if you're the most horrible player on the field at all time. You're allowed to be as horrible as you want until you have the opportunity to show that, that you can play. And even if you never show that you can play the sport, you still are given at least a 4-year window to kind of figure it out, rather than being, an undrafted free agent or, a low draft pick type of guy. You got one shot to, prove yourself if you're given that one shot. But if it comes down to a 5th-round draft pick and a 2nd-round draft pick, the 2nd-round draft pick will get picked over the 5th-round draft pick just because of optics about what school he went to. One guy went to Georgia, the other guy went to, Sacramento State, somewhere like that. Like, it's a smaller tier school. The guy in Georgia will get picked because he played against better competition than the guy at Sac State. Now, that's what I mean by politics, and it all weighs a factor, man. I done walked into locker rooms before in a linebacker and defensive end locker room and thought to myself and spoke with other players like, I think me and you are the best 2 linebackers in this room right now. None of these guys are better than us. And he was in agreement. And I was just like, what can you say to that? But the other guys were drafted, so they keep the other guys.
Man, that's nuts. The Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl, but the cost of winning comes quickly as the team is being dismantled. Guys want to get paid and guys want to go. It just kind of goes to show, if you ever do get that opportunity, don't waste it, because there will never be 2 rosters the same. Are you like San Francisco has torn apart their roster? That's one thing, but they didn't win the Super Bowl. Are you surprised that how many Eagles have either left, been traded, or just not re-signed?
Nah, man, I'm not surprised, man. They won their Super Bowl. Now they're content, man. Everybody's going on to get paid and get money wherever they can give money, and the team just got to do their best job to try to, retain the players that they can retain. I mean, Detroit Lions in the same boat, right? They lost their entire coaching staff for the most part, besides Dan Campbell. So now they're in a scramble to try to retain players as players start to go along and, go with their, their favorite coach or the coach that, helped them get to where they needed to get to. So it doesn't surprise me.
All right. Western Pizza guest hotline, Charleston Hughes is with us. We're talking NFL free agency. If this was 10 years ago, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson being free agent, but it's not. It's 2025. Russell Wilson may go visit the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants, and Aaron Rodgers is thinking about potentially joining the Giants or the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start with Aaron Rodgers first. If he is to play, where do you think he should or will kind of end up?
I don't know, man. A little birdie told me that Aaron Rodgers is trash right now. Man, little birdie came from one of his teammates and said,
Ooh.
A lot of people just think he's, oh yeah, I ain't gonna say who, but little birdie told me that he's definitely not a good quarterback right now, and he just need to hang it up.
But Charleston,
his name is Aaron Rodgers, so
yeah, exactly. And the Jets are going to pay $49 million to have him not be on their football team. That's a pretty good sign. And the Jets don't make a lot of smart moves when it comes to anything related to football. This may be maybe one of them. I think if you're Pittsburgh, is it 6 of one, half dozen of the other? Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. You really don't have a quarterback there. You really have a problem there.
Sam Darnold is out there. Go after him. Go after somebody who's gonna give you some life. Somebody who's gonna, uplift the team.
No, Darnold signed in Seattle 3 years, $105 million.
He did go to see. I thought he was still out there. He went to Seattle.
No,
Seattle. I heard that was gonna happen.
Because Geno Smith went to the Raiders, and Geno Smith turned down 2 years and $100 million from Seattle. Then Sam Darnold comes in and takes 3 years for $100 million from the Seahawks. Yeah.
Well, they don't got many options out there, then, man. So even in a draft, good luck.
Well, no, okay. And you know what? You've got Cam Ward, who's played 9 years of college football. It seems finished up in Miami. Decent prospect, but he's not the game changer. And then you've got Shedeur Sanders. And how do you feel about Deion's son? Did you watch him play at all? What do you think? Is it because last name? He's decent enough, but I think because of the lineage, he kind of gets put in a good spot to succeed.
Well, that's the part of the politics again. He's gonna sell tickets. He's gonna sell jerseys. But that's the only reason you kind of bring him there. Outside of that, is he a good, quarterback, good football player? I don't see much upside there. I wouldn't know why somebody would, draft that guy or pick him up, especially not in the first round. Maybe a second round draft pick. Yeah, I would. If you're going to roll the dice, I'll roll the dice with somebody else.
Well, the one thing, and because keep in mind, for the past couple of years, they've been a combo. Travis Hunter, to me, seems like a real deal player, whether he's playing DB or is playing receiver. That kid's got some talent. Do you think that he sticks in the first round and stays in the top 10?
He'll be a top 10 player, man. It's just about where is he going to play. That's the only problem with, Travis Hunter is if he's the best player on the field, the best athlete on the field, the best athletes on the field play kick return and punt return. So is that a position that you're going to put him in? Is a kick return, punt return? He's not going to play both ways. He's either going to play receiver or he's going to play defensive back, and that's a choice that he's going to make. But I can see him being a great kick returner for a team, but who's going to draft a first-round kick returner?
A GM that maybe doesn't like his job all that much, that wants to be unemployed within 9 months of making that pick? That's crazy.
But that's what I mean. I don't see him being that much of a game changer for a team. I just don't see it happening. He's the best athlete in the draft. I'll give you that. 100% the best athlete. But is he the best player at receiver? I don't think he's the best player at receiver. Is he the best player at defensive back? I don't think he's the best player at defensive back. So where do you put an athlete?
Nice. In the next couple of weeks, the USFL/XFL/ I don't know what they're calling it these days, league kicks off with teams all over the place, including some in Texas. In St. Louis, they get crowds of like 30 and 40,000. Because you're a football fan, do you end up watching that? Are you curious about that league? Now it's kind of in its third-ish, fourth-ish year.
Yeah, I had a couple teammates that played in the league, and I went to one of their games, and their games are pretty exciting. They had quite a few fans in the league, and it wasn't a bad football league to look at, but it was entertaining.
Okay. A press release came out the other day, and we'll wrap back in the CFL. The Calgary Stampeders, and this is what perked my radar. I'm like, uh-oh, what do they know that we don't? Because if there's one thing that we got to give the Stamps credit for, Hoff, Dave Dickinson is quarterbacks. Maybe not filling out the rest of the roster, but they seem to have. So the other day, they signed two dudes, Josh Love and Joey Gatewood, both quarterbacks, in an already full quarterback room. They got guys signed. So I'm like, all right, who are these guys? Where did they come from? And are these going to be some of the next ones that in the next couple of years in the CFL? I don't know if you have any insight on that, or if any of your insiders, birdies, friends, or anything like that have any intel on what they're up to there.
I have no clue what those guys are going on over there in Calgary, man. Who knows? I know that they got a good niche for finding good quarterbacks. That's one of Dave's, his good size is he's able to find quarterbacks in strange places, man. But I guess it's one of those things where we're just going to have to wait and see. The best man's going to win.
And it's funny because the reason why I say that is because, at one time or another, there's a dude named Jeff Garcia that showed up as a Calgary Stampeder and then went on to have a nice little NFL career. Did you ever play with Garcia?
No.
Okay, he was before your time. So it's funny. Any other position, I'm like, but when it comes to the quarterback thing, that's why I wonder about that. Let's see here. So did we get a committal answer? If TSN panel, yes or no? We know you need a huge clothing budget, but yes or no on the if TSN comes calling to be on the panel this year?
If they want me, they know exactly where to find me.
And then we had you on the show a couple of weeks ago. We need a little family and a personal update, because it's always good when we get to know the guests. Last time we talked to you, you were in an airport. You were flying to Detroit because your daughter was going to be was it a soccer tournament or a soccer camp?
Yeah, soccer camp, showcasing.
Okay. So, showcase. How old's your daughter and how did the showcase go?
She's 14, but the showcase went good, man. She played really, really well. I was impressed by my athleticism, toughness, goal scoring, ball control that she showed on the field. She had a couple college coaches come up to her and talk to her, during the showcasing. So I think it was a success.
So this is how early it starts down in the States. Something like this where there's college coaches and obviously scouts there. And because, 14, that's 9th, 10th grade. You're not in college yet, but the steps are there. Now, are you there as just a supportive dad? You're 50% dad, 50% agent. Like, what are you? Are you in the background? Are you part of all these conversations? What's happening?
You a smart man. 50% dad, 50% agent. I'm down there, letting her know who she is, what team she plays for, trying to, give her the best exposure as possible.
All right. Now, as the dad, how important is it if she is getting a scholarship somewhere that at the end of this, she comes out with her education as well?
That's the most important part, making sure that she goes to a school that, that has a career path for her that she's going to be interested in, that has a degree that she wants to, get a bachelor's and a master's in. So that's probably the most important, is about school choice.
Nice. Now, we know that there's NIL money for things like football, obviously, basketball and all that. When it comes to soccer and things like that, is there enough money left over? Is there NIL opportunities when it comes to female soccer in American college these days?
I don't know, man. There's not a lot, but there's always something, in sports if they come across the right player.
All right, Charleston Hughes, we always love this catching up. We'll let you get back to it. Are you going to the gym tonight? And if you are, what body parts are you working, or have you already been there today?
I'm right outside the gym right now, and it is upper body day.
Oh, is this it?
Yes, sir. Oh,
this is it?
Doing that speedy thanks, man. That was an amazing return right there, boy. Sheesh.
Is that?
And that's the end of the game. That's the end of the game. That's the win the game. You talk about an impact player.
Oh. What injury did you have that kept you out of this game?
It was my foot. I was on crutches.
Look at that. Oh. And look at that. The emotion, the heartbreak.
I know. Look at the emotion that it put him in. So that was in my favor. So like I said, man, it was one of those situations where he could have ended the game solely by himself on us, and we ended up turning it around and still winning the game.
Look at that. A young Huff. Always. Hey, no matter, I don't care what year, whether it's Grey Cup or not, nobody has a better tan in the Canadian Football League than John Huff-Nagel. He will always go down as the king as far as California.
100%.
All right, Charleston, have a great workout. We'll catch up in a couple of weeks. As always, we appreciate it. It's Charleston Hughes. He's